Hands to welcome us Mr. Muki, stage 5 exploration.
Thank you, Toastmaster, today. Good morning to all the students.
Good morning.
Stage 5 explorations. All world is a stage. As Shakespeare told long time back that each of us have stages of life, and I am here to share my stage 5 exploration. What is this stage 5 exploration all about? It talks about justice and your own judging. And when I entered 30s, I started exploring myself of the mistakes which I have done. Like all the questions which my dad put forth started showing up in my reality life, and which made me to walk into perspective of my own thoughts of why I am doing certain aspects. You might be wondering what is that I am sharing it to you. What are those aspects which is? That is what I will be narrating through this speech. I started reading books during school days, after college. During final year, I read around 10 to 15 books. And after that, for 10 long years, I have never read any book. And as our book reviewer have clearly told, he goes through a particular book and complete it till the end, only when there is interest of the idea sold to him. I was not looking for the idea to be sold. I was looking for something very unique for me. Taking a book has to be completed on that particular time. If not, I'll just leave it, and then I have around 250 books in my home, which is left on the same stage. My dad questioned me, my wife started questioning me, and their reactions started questioning, but I never bothered. But when I realized that, okay, why I am realized what made that 30 to be of judgmental of my own actions. 30s are the days where you will be start looking on your life instances which will make you to feel what all the mistakes which you have done, and when it starts appearing in front of you, and you will not look for another person's judgment because you have already gone past your warrior or being a lover or being a person who looks for the acceptance of another person. You started accepting yourself of the way how you do an action. All this had made me to look on why I stopped reading books and how can I revive that. This year beginning, I had gone to this particular Goodreads and then said my challenge is to read 100 books. 100, just a number I gave there. And for 6 months I didn't do any action at all. And when I walked into Meraki club, I saw people reviewing books, and you might be wondering what is the research he did. I was looking in my own life of how I am not doing things. And when I made a statement that I will be reading book just to review a book, I took a book and then read and gave a speech out of it, but then I was not convinced about it. And when the question was that what is that you have implemented in your life to share it to us, that made me to look on the aspects of reading a book and why we have to read a book. When I chose, there are 100 reasons where I will not read a book. I specifically asked for a person who wrote the book and then asked me to ship it. He haven't published in Amazon or any other portal where you can go download it. He's a Japanese instructor and a Toastmaster from Bangalore, and he wrote a book recently, and I just wanted to read that book and download, got it shipped. He shipped it of all the challenges which he faces. He is virtually impaired. He has challenges of that. But when I asked him, can you ship your book? He shipped that book, and then I got that book. And when I started reading, that's when I realized I am the person who have asked him. If I am not going to read and then just flip through few pages, I don't own my own words. That made me to look on reading books of why I have to read. Then I looked on why a particular person have a particular thought of writing a book at all. And that's where I started exploring this person. this man searched for meaning, and it has gave me all the answers which I was looking for. The pleasure of me being reading books is not to explain or tell to another person, but for realization of my own. Those ephemeral moments which we get when we are in a stage where we started seeing our mistakes and wanted to take action. What is that next I am going to do? What is that I have which is missed? All this thought was coming from me not taking an action of reading books. When I started reading books and started looking into various aspects like Tuesdays with Mori, I looked in a perspective of how a mentor-mentee relationship or how a teacher is for a person. And when I started reading about As You Think, I looked for what is that in our thought which makes us to be more appropriate in action. And when I read this book, I realized that all our exploration is looking for only one thing. In stage 5, in 30s, you might be post in life experiences. Probably like for me, my life experiences, why I have left some habit which I was looking for, and why I have not taken any action, but what made me to take action now. Because when my wife and my dad questioned me, I didn't had an urge to go and then look on the problem. But when I started questioning myself, I started taking an action. All world is a stage, and I leave with this mindset that each of us have our own revelations and an aha moment. When serendipity was told that it was a word which was from our own origin, I looked into these books, who wrote it and why they wrote it, and all points to the Eastern philosophy. And it also points about a person who wrote about a book which is Light of Asia. This book was written in the 19th century, 18th century at the end. What it talks about is that our way of thought is cultivated through the actions which we take in more consistent with our words.